Hello and welcome to an episode of the MTG Arena Run. We're actually a few decks away from completing this series, so we're going to be taking a look at this deck, Auras of Majesty. After this, we got about 2 decks left. We have the white-black life gain deck. I've been holding off on that one because actually almost everyone's had a good handle on that one, but we'll visit it still, see if Vampires is still the correct way to go with that one, or if we really should go all in on the life gain team. Then we still have a blue-black deck to cover, though. That one, everyone else has had a handle on it, but it seems like the pre-con deck did not have a handle on it. I'll get to that one when we do get to it. But first off, let's enough of the segue. Let's go back to the main deck. So okay, let's change to the regular screen. So the Auras of Majesty deck. This is the one deck that right out of the bat, no instance, no way to. You don't get to respond to well, you do get to respond, but you have to do all the responses on your own turn. So let's take a look at what we have here. So 3 Novice Knights, not the best creature in the planet. Sure, it's a very good defender. The idea is you want to enchant or equip it in order to get something out of it. This is an aura deck, though personally I feel this one is better off with equipment, because at least if he does get hit by some sort of removal, you're not getting completely blown out. You have 2 copies of Daybreak Chaplain, so also a decent creature to suit up. Likewise with the 2 copies of Greenwood Sentinel. That said, usually the problem with an aura deck is you want to put them on creatures that can safely carry the aura. So you're looking for cards that your opponents don't want to target, like say the Torn Lieutenant. You'll probably lose this guy. You'll probably lose the aura as you're casting it, but you do get some compensation in the form of a 1/1 green elf warrior token. It's kind of just like your favorite online shopping center telling you, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't fulfill your order, but here, we'll give you this voucher." You're not happy with it, but you'll accept it. Siegehorn Ceratops. This one's a bit of an interesting one. It gets bigger the more it takes damage, but normally this is what you'd put in an enrage, a regular dinosaur deck, because it has ways to deal damage to it to buff it up. As it is, this one is some kind of a sideways of, oh, you want to buff up my toughness so that I can get even more swole. Probably not the best fit for this card. Actually, we had a hard time finding a good fit for this card in any deck for that matter. 3 copies of Knight's Pledge, because this is relatively cheap. +2/+2 for 2 mana. We are playing with the Aura team, but I think there is a better enchantment for this slot. It doesn't give that big a boost, but it solves a few of the other problems this deck has. I'll go over them as we go along. Single copy of Danita Capashen, kind of mandatory considering our enchantments are kind of expensive. The bad news is this one only affects auras, so History of Benalia is not going to get the buff. Ajani's Last Stand is not going to get the buff. Hieromancer's Cage is not going to get the buff. That said, what is going to get the buff is from Satyr Enchanter. So basically, all those enchantments I mentioned will get net us cards. This is decent for card advantage, though the 2/2 body is a bit on the weak side. What is not weak is History of Benalia, Mono White All-Star. 4 power, 4 toughness over 2 turns, and a 1-shot additional power toughness boost on the turn after that. Nothing to hate on this one. Actually, I feel like if we revisit this deck, we could go with a Convoke Saga team. So we'd probably be running stuff like History of Benalia, Gerard's Triumph, maybe some of the green Song of Freya. At least those are other ways to boost our creatures without relying on auras. The usual problem with auras is basically called getting 2 for 1, where you spend 2 cards, but all it takes is 1 card from your opponent to answer it. Like let's say I suit up our Druid of Horns is a bad example. Let's say I suit up our Greenwood Sentinel with an Oaken Form and an Onisera's Wings. So that's 3 cards already. Our opponent just has to murder this guy. We're down 3 cards. So that's the usual bad news about that. Usually how they counter it is by using auras you want to put on your opponent's creatures, like say Luminous Bonds. This is a good one. Hieromancer's Cage, not an aura, but you get the idea with this one. That said, we do have ways to defend against it. Number one is Hexproof. Now, we don't have any Vine Mares or Carnage Tyrants here. And to be fair, Carnage Tyrant kind of doesn't need it. It's a quite kind of beefy as it is. But we do have Shalai, very good way to give all our other creatures Hexproof. Probably be looking at spells that make our creatures indestructible to prevent them getting blown out that way. Druid of Horns, as we suit him up, generates creatures, so it kind of negates the disadvantage. I mentioned the Hieromancer's Cage. Probably want to upgrade this with Conclave Tribunal. Ajani's Last Stand. Basically, anti-discard defense. But more importantly, if one of our creatures dies, we get another creature in return. But there is a good chance that this is going to sit and do nothing. So, a bit risky, but 4/4/4/4 with flying might be worth the risk. On Sarah's Wings, this one is also a very good one to put on. Actually, if you notice, look at the art. Yeah, it's kind of saying, yeah, combo with Danita. Very good Actually, no. I take it back. Very bad combo, because Danita already has all of this. But you kind of might want to put it on something else like the Druid of Horns. Knightly Valor, if you manage to get the aura to stick, you will get another guy to come with it. I'm starting to notice that okay, let's first mention the Prodigious Growth, probably the worst card in this set. Have the usual mana mix, but I'm gonna mention that we have way too many non-creatures for this deck. This is already bad deck building on its core right now. In fact, one of the early comments back in the days of Alpha is like whenever people analyze decks, the first thing that we always say is have more creatures than auras. Have more creatures than auras. Considering that, well, we technically have more creatures than auras because Ajani's Last Stand and the Hieromancer's Cage is a -4 to this one already, but that's still too many auras for to be comfortable with. So we'll probably adjust that mix. But that said, let's see how well we can do with this one. I'm not too confident per se with that one. I also kind of skipped Guilds of Ravnica Constructed. Still don't have enough cards yet. Kind of missing out a bit on Constructed. But I'm hoping that will change over time. We'll see. So let's see how majestic these auras can be. Not quite the Merfolk deck. Now, everyone's been saying that the Merfolk deck seems to be the standard of right out of the box, very playable. If you think of it, it's relatively cheap creatures and relatively decent disruption. Basic fundamentals of Magic. Have threats, have ways to answer your opponent's threats. We have a decent 1-2 start here, although that will depend on our opponent cooperating. I'm willing to keep this at least though. We're just one more mana away from getting Horns and Hieromancer's Cage. The one I wanted to replace this with is Knight's Pledge with is Talons of Wildwood. It's 1 in the green, +1/+1 and trample. The advantage of that one though is it has an ability. You spend some mana, you get to get it out of the graveyard. And don't be fooled. A lot of enchantments are going to end up in the graveyard over time. We're gonna try to power things out with the Knight's Pledge. We're definitely facing off either mono white or white black at this point. Yeah, so far it's looking mono white and looks like our opponent's stalled. I'm not gonna play the Oaken form. I'm gonna just play the Tranquil Expanse next turn. Now, if our opponent manages to get the... Well, he won't be able to attack just yet, so we can postpone a bit on that one. But I'm definitely not going to pile the Oaken form here. He's got another Legion's Landing. He's going to have to nuke one of them. He will get 1 life back. He'll hit back for 3. That's okay. So, as I said... Now, I could play the other Knight's Pledge. Basically, we could start racing on that axis. Because next turn we can then just Druid of Horns into Oaken form. You know what? Let's go for that. Because so far it looks like our opponent is mono white. If he plays the black mana now, it's gonna really be annoying. Now, the reason he did not try to block is he knows he needs to flip this. He's kind of short on mana. He hasn't drawn it. Okay, he's gonna Conclave Tribunal. There you go, 3-4-1. At least I got rid of some relatively cheap creatures at that, so not too shabby. Now I have a choice here. I could just play out the Druid of Horns. I know this will flip. I could also Hieromancer's Cage this guy now to make sure that never flips. Sure, I'll be taking some hits, but I think I can weather it. Now it'll be annoying if he can Conclave Tribunal again. Okay, no. So he's definitely stuck on mana. So kind of trading blows here. So next turn, Druid of Horns. If he can't answer this, I can't have Open Form ready. Yeah, the second enchantment was very greedy. Okay, our opponent finally drew into his next land, but good list. Okay, he's holding back. So we get our creature. So we get 5-6. 2, 4, 5, 6. He'll have to trade 4 creatures. Let's start simplifying that board. Now again, this is where I wish I had Talons of Wildwood. Start buying it back and whatnot. Opponent regains. He's thankfully 1 permanent shy of okay, he's gonna go for that. So he could sacrifice this to make that indestructible. That's okay too. So let's see if he gives it up. If he gives it up, this is basically -4 damage incoming. There you go. So not too bad. So now the bad news is I'm getting quite flooded. So combat. I'm gonna attack with this one instead. Let's take our time. The problem is we're now having our land glut. Johnny's Pride Mate, so this is gonna start getting swole over time. I'll probably have to trade these tokens off. Knightly Valor would be great. Prodigious Growth might be a bit excessive. Well, it's gonna get buffed no matter what I do, so I'm just gonna. So it's gonna go up to a 5/5. So our opponent with that managed to catch up. That's the. And with that, our opponent catching up doesn't matter. I could still get swole, but okay, let's swing with this guy. We're still in danger though. Opponent plays another Adanto Vanguard, so he's gonna gain life. He's gonna get a lot of triggers. But he's not swinging in. Which might be a problem now. So because now I have extra blockers. So let's play another land. We're kind of doing well, but we are lacking on the evasion outlet. And let's play another Johnny's Pride Mate. He will start taking this up slowly. So our opponent managed to hold on the back of Leon and Vanguard, which is actually very impressive. Right now we are in trouble because we are not drawing enough gas. Actually, looking at the creatures we're playing, I guess Mentor of the Meek is a good fit here. So let's see. Definitely swinging with these guys. Let's see if he's willing to trade the Pride Mate now. Okay, he's gonna trade the Pride Mate. I'm actually surprised our opponent still hasn't. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, if our opponent manages to draw a land, we'll definitely have to deal with the Flying Aspirant. So, getting our Pride Mate. Things are taking our fine time here. Definitely need removal here. We can't just rely on this. If our opponent had if our opponent's place gets any more bonkers, we're not gonna live through it. That's it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, I'll offer the trade to him. He has enough to kill my Druid of Horns. Okay. So at least he off the Aspirant, so at least I don't have to worry about something flying. Now I just have to worry about additional knights. Good news is these guys are all soldiers. Doesn't have any enchantment removal. Okay, there's another creature, so let's definitely not attacking with this guy. So let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, I can offer a big trade. I probably should anyway. But it looks like our opponent is willing to just throw things away, so that's perfectly fine with me. Opponent's probably gonna have to is probably gonna start getting his own. Okay, Vanillish Marshal. Everything's a little bit beefier. Oh, look at all those triggers fly. Still not getting the mana we need. Definitely need one removal spell for this one. Because right now, I'm only going to be trading with just the Pride Mate, and that's a very bad trade at this point. I'm going to have to sadly let it pass. I didn't know. Well, opponent's really invested in this deck. Yeah, I definitely know what I'm changing now. So let's take note here. He's attacking a 7/7 into a 7/8, so definitely make that one. Definitely throw these guys here. Could I take the 3 damage safely? No, to take the 5 damage safely. Yeah, let's just take the 5 damage. So he threw away that down to Vanguard, so there's that. Okay, Hieromancer's Cage on. Because this one will just make another token. The tokens are going to become a problem. So I have to decide what do I off. 3, 6, 9. Unfortunately, I think the correct answer is I have to off the Benelish Marshal. I have to attack with Alter, represent lethal, force him to block. Now he's... Opponent kind of knows we're holding on to lands at this point. Okay, he says nice, so let's see what he's got. If he's got Lumin... Okay, Dauntless Bodyguard, that extends his play. He's Sky Marcher Aspirant, which is now flying, so that... And this is only a soldier, though. Conclave Tribunal, yeah, that does it. There you go. Yeah, that... Good game. So we could have gotten one extra feature if we held on to the Knight's Pledge, but I kind of know what I'm replacing at this point. So, that said... And our opponent had very good conduct, so I'm not ashamed. So I'm not ashamed in not censoring the name. You know what? I'm not gonna even bother. This one's gonna be a really fast one. But I don't mind getting these decks. Sure, it'd be nice if we got all the decks to be really good, really true. But you're only gonna learn these if you experience the mistakes firsthand. Now. Okay, so we're definitely keeping this. We have a turn 2 into a turn 3 play. No auras, but we have one aura, but that's not realistic. I wouldn't have mind drawing that one. Okay, there's an aura that we're probably not gonna play anytime soon. So unless you experience the, like, most people did not know about the inherent, because let's be honest, it's really cool to make your creature bigger and bigger with auras. But unless you experience it firsthand, that, oh, you get blown out, 3-4-1, 3-4-1. That said, okay, at least we'll get let's see what our opponent has. Looks like our opponent's playing the Convoke version. Well, to be fair, the Mono White was easily Convoke version also. So, let's see what our opponent has for us. Ooh, okay, so this is a really tuned deck. Knight of Autumn is going for the life gain. Okay, so I'm gonna play the Enchanter first, because we can hold off the Knight of Autumn at least with this one. We can just do Knight's Pledge next turn. Hieromancer's Cage if, well, we draw a card anyway. We can do either of these next turn, so... Right now, it's just Llanowar Elves and a Legion's Landing. We definitely want to remove something. Okay, I'll take 4. Perfectly fine. Now take note, this is can't be the target of ability, so Hieromancer's Cage is not going to do anything to that. But Hieromancer's Cage can do something to Legion's Landing, which is already which is going to be annoying now. So, attack with Enchanter. So our opponent's values their life total highly. That's why he went for the 4 life. Trostani Discordant. Okay, it enters. Okay, pumps everything. Yeah, with that, thank goodness we have another Hieromancer's Cage. Okay. Danita makes the Knight's Pledge cheaper. But let's see. Okay, if I get rid of Trostani Discordant, this brings it down to 4. Which is manageable. I just don't attack at this point. Yeah, I have to remove Trostani. At least I draw into another land, so I can do Knightly Valor next turn. So no attacks. We'll try to keep the Daybreak Chaplain alive, because if we can get Prodigious Growth on it, it would be really great. Damn it. So opponent's playing Shalai, so 5/5. I'm not gonna throw the Satyr Enchanter away though. I'll just take the 5 damage. Conclave Tribunal. Let's see what does he get rid of. Probably the Hieromancer's Cage. Yeah, that's a problem. So now we're facing off against a 9/9. Okay. You know what? Let's not block. Let's see if we can manage, but probably not. Well, we can't. We'll have to hit Shalai first anyway. Now, that said, okay, I could play Danita, then play the 2 Knights Pledges back to back to draw cards, but okay, we might actually have to do that. So, Knight's Pledge onto Daybreak Chaplain. Then Knight's Pledge onto... Here's the thing, we actually have to swing because our opponent can just simply swing with Shalai and it's over. So definitely just we'll just pump it both on the Daybreak Chaplain. Got some extra lands, but we're probably gonna lose this game. I think I drew enough cards with the Enchanter. Okay, that shrinks Shanna's. So we're gonna take 4. We can gain 2, but I think we're still dead at this point. Yeah, swing with everyone. That's kind of the way to go. So we have to do the obvious blocks. 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh wait, I'm still alive. He didn't attack enough. Okay, so he gets a token. We really have to... Okay, so let's see if we have enough mana to do stuff. This will cost 5. This will... So basically we're trying to see if we can survive the swing back. So we have 7 mana. That's both of this. So 12, 14 with trample. I probably should make this swole as well. Well, we're gonna... We're still probably gonna die here, let's be honest. Yep, I think our opponent has removal, so that should be good game. Nope, nowhere else. No, I think you can still tap. No, we go to Cow. Let's do the math here. He just has to attack with everything. So 12 3. Well, he didn't attack with everything, which is interesting. Well, I'm not gonna get through this. Play at the Novice Knight. This doesn't have trample, so I'm gonna just play the Knightly Value. Now it's technically over. He could just trade off several creatures, but at least it simplifies the board. I know it's a good game. We're kind of lost at this point. 4, 8, 12, 16. Okay, now he's just putting everything in. Kinda unnecessary, but let's see what we get. So we got 14. Yeah, there you go. Oh no, he put just enough. So we have a good life total, but we're dead next turn. Oh well, it was worth a shot. Opponent is playing it relatively safe. Can't say I approve, but well, he's in a winning position, so I can't. He is in a winning position, so I can't fault him for it. That said, I don't think we're gonna get any games out of this deck. Yep, now that is officially good game. Opponent knows we have absolutely nothing. He is free to swing at everything. So I'm definitely putting a Settle the Wreckage here. Well, I have to hand it to our opponent. He is definitely enjoying this. But no, you're gonna have to work for this win by yourself. Okay, so... yeah, this guy's never gonna get anything. Okay. Yeah, just... So that said, we've already explored the weaknesses of the deck. Just piling everything onto one creature, not enough to catch up. So let's take the obvious. We did survive a little bit longer than I expected, but only because our opponent was playing with us like a hawk playing with his food. I don't think there's any quest that requires you to get your opponent down to -40, but well, if you enjoy it that way, that's at least you end the game. So I have to hand that to you at least. So we're not. So this is gonna be a really quick episode. I guess I will probably be able to. Let's see if I can get them 2 decks out of this. So my first plan to this one, we're gonna probably. I'm actually not too sure if the Aura team is still correct. Sure, we get the Satyr Enchanters, but they're not great. Okay, we have a turn 1 and several turn 2 plays, so I'm definitely keeping this one. Okay. Well, if he obliged, then that's perfectly fine. Now we could use. Actually, I could use more lands. The aura part can kind of wait. Not in a real hurry for that one. And it's taking its time, so probably ramping up to a dinosaur. Not a land yet, but it is something. Now, our opponent willing to throw creatures away indicates that, yeah, he doesn't see these as very big ones. So, okay, still not hitting the mana we need. I can swing with the Torn Lieutenant just to make him trade. Perfect, which is kind of perfectly fine now, because I'm just waiting to get up to one of these bigger ones. Draconic Disciple to another land. He is close to. I could just wait for him to sacrifice it, I suppose. Yeah, let's wait, I guess. So choose attacks. So this is just throwaway, gain life. So I'm basically waiting for him to sacrifice this one so I can Hieromancer's Cage the token. I don't agree with our opponent throwing creatures away that willy-nilly. Okay, he's got Carnage Tyrant. We're never going to answer. So we really need that mana now. +7/+7 will answer this. Okay, so let's play the Druid of Horns first. Swing with this one. He's got 7 mana. Let's hope he cracks the Disciple. He might actually try, but he could just try to get rid of Shalai. Actually, Banefire on Shalai is probably the reasonable plan. You can tell I've already so familiar with these decks if I kind of know what he's about to do. That said, yeah, I'll take 7. So, no mana, Hieromancer's Cage. I could just cage this now, but I would... Yeah, I'm gonna wait. Yep. Actually, to think of it, that was a very bad plan. Our opponent could have easily just... Okay, so... I have to throw this in front because I know I'm going to be caging this one first. We did draw our 6 mana, so we not... So that said, we have options. I could put the 7 here. Gets us another small blocker. I don't remember. I don't think the deck has any pump, but so I'm gonna hold the Daybreak Chaplain back at least. Yeah, we're gonna off that token. And we'll have options. I could... So Knight of the Stampede, so that holds this back. Elvish Rejuvenator. Okay, so he shields down. So I can take the 7 safely. Now, I'm not gonna get the benefit, but I think it's still better to put it here. Knowing our opponent, he's gonna throw blockers. Oh, it has trample too, so probably not a great plan. That said, we are still in trouble. This is 9 damage. Charging Tustodon. Okay, that's not a problem. We're gonna Hieromancer Cage that one. So we got an Oaken Form, so let's cast this first. Then we will Oaken Form the other guy. Opponent's conceding now. Yeah, he had the Carnage Tyrant, but I'll say good game 2 only because he said it first. Oh yeah, and he did. And it was fatal anyway. So we managed to win that one. I will say that mistakes were made. I did make a fundamental mistake too. I forgot that the Draconic Disciple's ability could be activated at instant speed. Probably would have been safer to just use it right then and there on the creature, not wait for it. He was shields down several times. Yeah, I tried to get too cute. That was... Yeah, there's some hubris on my part too. Hubris, rather. So we got 1 win. So at least we're not going home empty-handed. So I'm gonna keep this one. At least we get some action. But I'm not happy with this. And honestly, I would prefer to have another creature. I'm not putting back-to-back Knight's Pledges on our Novice Knight. This is basically a seal away waiting to happen. So watch, I put this here. Opponent responds with probably a seal await or a bounce spell. Disperse is the most likely one. Syncopate. Oh! That's actually much better than I hoped. At least I don't lose the tempo per se. I know our opponent doesn't have a double blue counter like Sinister Sabotage. He could still have a bounce spell though. Nope, negate. So he's actually answering all those cards, so that's perfectly fine. No action on my part, but no action on my opponent's part either. So probably expecting a Teferi sometime soon. Let's see. Here comes so at least we can start beating down a little bit. I actually kind of hope he's playing it. Okay, he's not playing that fairy yet. He is representing... He's representing Settle the Wreckage. And Settle still hits, it doesn't hit tap creatures and whatnot. Actually, this is nice. Well, not quite nice. We're 1 mana short of them of playing those back to back, but it looks like our opponent's out of counters. So we're gonna take our time at least. He's playing Search for Escanta, so he's not representing... He's representing a counter spell or a bounce spell. And the nice thing is, these guys all have Vigilance, so Seal Away doesn't do quite anything. So we're actually gonna take our time with this one. If our opponent's not presenting any threats, we don't need to empty out our entire hand. He's gonna take Fairy, I think, but that's probably a mistake. Fencing Nova, destroy all creatures, that's not a mistake. So we get squat out of that one. I do have to play the lands here because, well, it's a shame there's no haste, but I do want to play this and this back to back. Lyra, Dawnbringer. Okay, at least we still kept the Luminous Bonds. In fact, we can Luminous Bonds into Ajani's Last Stand. So we have a little extra insurance, I guess. Opponent still has a big advantage. This does nothing on its own, especially on my board right now, so yeah, our opponent's not priced in to do anything. So let's... Okay, here comes the Essence Scatter. Again, this is why you want to have more creatures than non-creatures. Without creatures, you can't play these cards. Well, you can play them on your opponents. Sure you want to do that? I'm gonna be slightly cross if this is a taking turns deck, but can't complain too much. So this is gonna get countered. There you go. I'm actually expecting some mission briefings in this deck. Let's see what our opponent's got. Nope, Sinister Sabotage, so he's gonna try to counter something. So this is probably literally just a Teferi deck. He's just waiting on Teferi. Pass the turn. So he's gathering out counter after counter. He hasn't shown a way to win the game yet, so that's the only reason why I'm holding on. So this is gonna eat the Sinister Sabotage. You know, this is play this one anyway. It's gonna eat the Sinister Sabotage, so that's not gonna happen. So actually, now that I think of it, I don't want everything to be a creature per se. I do want to have some spell effects that generate creatures too. Actually, green-white's the best one for this effect. So I'm looking for cards like Sprouting Renewal, because that can either double as a creature or an enchantment removal. Well, it doesn't do anything here, but... Well, so far, opponent hasn't shown anything to indicate that he has a way to win the game. He has a way to counter everything in the planet, but... Eventually, I'm gonna stop drawing creatures and start drawing auras, which at a very bad time. But he has ditched a lot. He's ditched a lot of cards. I think he might just have a singleton Teferi. I already missed the days when... Okay, there's your singleton Teferi. I already missed the days where opponent has Approach of the Second Sun.
If you show remorse, I'll show restraint.
That's a much better win condition.
Time is much more malleable.
So we're actually gonna get hit by Lyra now. So that's actually good. So thankfully he wasn't doing the lazy draw cards plan. So actually I probably should say good game now. Yeah, he's gonna counter this one too. Or not. You know what? Let's just play it all, but no, I don't have any confidence that any of these things are gonna stick. Yep, it has the negate 2. But I'm willing to play this out because our opponent does have a win condition. If I draw Hieromancer's Cage, it's probably gonna go into Fairy, and it's probably gonna get syncopated anyway. Next is a Fate. Okay. This is good game here. Yeah, we'll concede now because he's already got all the turns. But there you go. That was a decent run. So that said, plenty of mistakes. I dare say that some of the mistakes were in the deck itself. Well, these two are okay. So I'm happy with those. But we'll take a quick break and take a look at what our... Actually, you know what? Let's just crack this open in front of everyone because I hear everybody likes to see people cracking packs. Okay, got that one. Yeah, Sprouting Renewal. That's probably one of the cards we're gonna put in the deck. Okay, I'll take an Overgrown too. So there we go. So that's it for the gameplay portion. Now we're going to go into deck building. So please stand by. Okay, there you go. So this is what the deck actually looks like. As you can see, so many enchantments, but a lot of these are really bad. So we need a combination of good creatures to play auras on, and good auras itself. So with that in mind, let's remove the let's make a version that sticks with the aura plan. So we're gonna remove some of the creatures that are only middling beneficial. So Daybreak Chaplain goes, Greenwood Sentinel goes, Knight's Pledge goes because I have a replacement for that. Knightly Valor might go. Novice Knight's okay, but not, it's gotta go. Oakenform's gotta go. Sarah's Wings, yeah, that will stay. Prodigious Growth goes. Siegehorn Ceratops goes. Torn Lieutenant stays. Ajani's Last Stand, kinda middling. Yeah, that's gotta go. And Hieromancer's Cage goes also because we're gonna first replace that with Conclave Tribunal. Probably gonna have we're probably gonna put some insurance with the go wide plan, so I'm gonna maybe have a Conclave Guildmage as something to consider. Conclave Cavalier is also a decent option because 4 mana, 4/4. When it dies, we get we still get creatures. So even if our opponent answers us, we're not left out cold just like that last deck. So I'm still a maybe on that one. That said, let's look at auras. And let's set it to contain at least white or green. So Blanchwood Armor is the typical go-to. If we make the deck main green, we go for that. So that's a maybe. Candlelight Vigil's kind of bad. Demotion is sort of removal. Dub is probably better because it's +2/+2 and first strike, and night, and gives the night type, which is relevant with history. We removed Knight's Pledge. I'm probably gonna remove Knightly Valor also. So let's see what are good ones. First, Talons of Wildwood. Basically, these are enchantments that can come back, so we don't have to run too many of them. Squire's Devotion. This is +1/+1 lifelink and creates a creature. So that one is probably better, but still scary to be honest. So let's see. Urban Utopia gives us a card, actually combos with Danitha a bit. But as far as auras go, these are the only good ones, and I'm not impressed at this point. So probably might have to put the Oaken form back. As much as I don't want to do that. No, let's just put the Blanchwood armor in instead. Because it costs the same. We can skew the deck more towards green instead. And fine. We'll... Actually, no. Let's check our removal. We have Luminous Bonds, which is quite cheap. Combos with Danita, so I'm okay with that one. I'm going to leave the Squar's Devotion here. I'm not too convinced with that one. Definitely going to bump up the Tribunals to 4. We definitely need a lot of creatures to play early. So, that said, we're keeping the filters. Now we're looking for cheap creatures. So you want creatures that don't just die out of nowhere. Adanto Vanguard is kind of okay, but paying 4 life to keep it alive is not. Actually, another consideration is we could switch to a slightly equipment plan, though it devalues our Satyr enchanters. Johnny's Pridemate is kind of always good. We could do a green-white life gain pseudo enchantment team, but we're pretty much drawing cards at this point. So we want creatures that draw us into more creatures. Let's start with the really cheap creatures first. So we want a converted mana cost of at least 1. So, as you can see, Dauntless Bodyguard is a better choice. It's also built-in protection for any of our other creatures later on. Court Cleric, what does this do? Nope. Duskborn Sky Marcher is an option too, but I'm probably actually gonna just put Llanowar Elves. We are going for the mass green effect, so just mass green. So I'll kill the Knightly Valors. On Sarah's Wings by itself is okay. In fact, maybe a second copy is not that bad. Just remember it's legendary. So Legion's Landing is also a decent 1 mana creature. Healer's Hawk is a good one to put, but it is kind of soft. Hunted Witness is probably better. Hazada Marshal generates more creatures. We're not exactly go wide though. Actually, we should look at some of the Convoke because we're gonna be doubling down with these. Leonin Vanguard is kind of decent, but we're not expecting to go all in on creatures though. Old Growth Dryads. Remember this was... Oh yeah, it gives your opponent a land, so that's kind of bad. Let's say no to that one. Aspirant. Snubhorn Sentry might be a good fit. It is beefy enough that your opponent has to use Lightning Strike. He can't just shock or deadweight it. Let's put that one in. So we're still keeping the... Okay, let's fix the mana up first. So let's kill that. 3 more Sun Petal Groves. Definitely Temple Gardens. Okay, let's kill the filter. Okay, so Temple Garden. Let's max that out. Probably let's kill 1, 2, 3, I guess. So we're gonna analyze this one right now. Admittedly, our sideboard's gonna be mostly Convoke at this point. So what we got here is a glut of one-drop creatures, some cheap enchantments. But this one is the case where we're relying on getting a turn 1 creature into maybe a turn 2 enchantment, or most likely a turn 3 enchantment. That's the more realistic one. That said, that's the very cheap plan, but it's not realistic. Let's go for the because a lot of these creatures are very soft. If you don't get the aura, it's really bad, and these guys die very easily. So let's go for creatures that don't die as much. So, as I mentioned, we should go with the hexproof plan. So that said, it's clear. Oh, Angelic Overseer. Oh wait, standard. So definitely going with the single Carnage Tyrant. So with that in mind, the Snubhorde Sentry is gonna go. Legion's Landing stays. The Dauntless Bodyguards, this might be too many, so let's cut this down a bit. Probably should double check the enchantments too. I think we have too many as well. Yeah, we do have a good amount of removal. Probably 3 Talons of Wildwood is too many. Let's stick at 2. So we got that one. And let's see. Fortunately, most of the hex... Well, I'm not playing the Arboretum Elemental. Knight of Grace is interesting. It's hexproof from black, so it's actually a good sideboard card. So we'll put about 3 copies of that in. Squire's Devotion's gonna go. Guildmage stays in sideboard for now. Nullhide Ferox. Yeah, it's a mythic. You can't cast non-creature spells, so the hexproof is kinda... No, it's still relevant. There's still Ravenous Chupacabra. If you have it sideboard, if you have it mainboarded, sure, go ahead. But the more important one is, well, Swift Warden has no, it just gives something hexproof for 1 turn. Vinemare. Let's max this out. Actually, this even 3 copies is okay. So the idea is you want to do you'd want to go mono green Stompies. So that said, we probably should. Let's see, going to turn 3 Vinemare. So the Dauntless Bodyguard doesn't fit anymore. In fact, I think I want to. This is gonna be a mostly green deck at this point. So I'm willing to try Adventurous Impulse. Let's take a look at the analysis. I might actually put a few normally sideboard cards in the main board. So we can set up for turn 1. We're aiming for turn 3. We do have some plays on turn 2, but they're very few. We need to, and we're now skewed towards 60%. We need some better 2-drops. Actually, I know we have good. Okay, Elfheim Druid pumps. We're not exactly kicking. District Guide is kind of like Elvish Rejuvenator. Elvish Clan Caller is our other out. Double green is a bit painful though. And we're not running that many elves. We're actually more of a knight deck than an elf deck, so that's an out. Single copy of Mara, if you get her, is not bad. Also makes creatures, so why not? Greenwood Sentinel's probably a bit more realistic fit though. Llanowar Scout's a no. Pelt Collector's actually quite good. Well, actually no, because it's... Oh, we need... Oh, but we do have something for sideboard. Rex Sages. Since we want creatures, so Rex Sage is a good plan for this one. In fact, I think the Emara... Yeah, we'll keep Emara because she is still a 2-drop. So I'm trimming down a lot of these auras. Maybe let's cut down 1 Conclave Tribunal. Let's cut down 1 on Sarah's Wings as well. So let's see. Another Torn Lieutenant is probably okay. This might be one of the better plans. Actually, that's probably how I'd recommend it. If I could fit Steel Leaf Champion, I would, but there's no guarantee we're really gonna be mono green. Sprouting Renewal. We want this on the sideboard. Basically, more enchantment more enchantment hate, something you can convoke, although it's a sorcery, so I'm gonna leave it at just 2 copies. The Knight of Grace is probably the more realistic plan. So, let's see. Let's move the Conclave Guildmage up then. And Druid of Horns. Yeah, you're not exactly stacking everything on this one. Maybe just 1 or 2 is good enough. Actually, just activating it once is quite good already as it is. So, let's see. So, if we know our opponent is heavy on control, yeah, definite. The bad news is you kind of want to have a second Carnage Tyrant. You need something that can't be countered, so I guess that's the one card I would invest. What other investments could we do? The green Huatli does not fit this deck. So it's a good way to draw cards, but no, that doesn't fit. Ajani's probably a better fit, although it doesn't make it does return creatures, so that we do have something going with it. Vivian Reed might be a better choice here. No, it only gets creatures or lands. Nope, none of the planeswalkers kind of fit. So, okay. Yeah, definitely that. Extra Conclave Tribunal. If I'm running into several big creatures, I probably will run the Conclave Cavalier. Arboretum Elemental is also hexproof, but we're not exactly running into a lot of those. Oh, wait. Not really. It's kind of like Adventurous Impulse, but I do want Adventurous Impulse better because it does allow me to get creatures if I need to. That said, this is very flexible, so I wouldn't knock this just out of that one. Trying to remember what the... Yeah, there you go. Assure and Assemble. This one might be a more reasonable one. Yeah, and also gives something indestructible. So this is probably a more reasonable combat trick. We do need to have some things to respond with. So I guess I'll put 2 of those in the sideboard for now. Probably something that should end up in the main board. Well, let's take a look at what we got here. So basically what we did was we trimmed the enchantments. So we only have 3... we only have 6 actual auras then that we want to put on our creatures. Then we have some removal, 6 pieces of removal. Got some extra tricks up our sleeve. So now we fixed the mana base a bit. So let's cut this down. Let's make this 11 7-11. Actually 7-10. Oh, no, that's not right. I was clicking the wrong. 7-10. Okay, total 17, so maybe 9. I think a 6-10 Arch as usual. Just a sucker for Arch, I guess. So this is Auras of Majesty version 2.0. This will be basically streamlined auras. And yeah, I guess that's what we'll do for this version of the deck. This is close enough. I'm willing to keep this heavy on white because we do have several double whites. Our double greens don't come into play until turn 4, so this one's okay. So there we go. That's our new version of the deck. I do have another idea, so if time is not an issue, I will get on it. So and I'll show you one. Basically, we're gonna be playing with enchantments, but not auras. That's kind of the idea. We'll see if it actually pans out. Anyway, that's it for this episode of the Magic Arena Run. If you like what you see, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please also don't forget to check out my other content as well. Maybe there's something that you might be interested in seeing. Maybe let me know. If it's not something that is way too expensive, I could check it out. See if there's anything you're interested. There's a recent discussion over. Oh, there are many different card games now, especially on digital. It's been a long time since I last played Hearthstone. I'm probably not gonna get back into it. I'm kind of way behind, and I'll be honest, I enjoy Magic more. But there are some other card-like games that are interesting too. We'll see. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you guys again next time.